Hello everyone, thanks for joining us and welcome to this educational presentation of a strategy I've been trading for 40 years. Now, first of all, I want to thank you for coming at this different time. This won't be the usual time we have our educational presentations, but we had a little scheduling difficulty today. But next week when we have our educational webinars, we will be back at the old intraday time at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard. But for now, let's talk about this strategy because I was introduced to this strategy some 40 years ago, and I have been using it for 4 decades in some capacity now on a daily basis. I used it this morning in my morning trading, and I've just about used the basis of it almost every day in my trading since I was introduced to it some 40 years ago on the floor of the exchange. But believe it or not, I didn't start out trading with this strategy. This was something I learned on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange. We first applied it for intraday day trading. But now with a few different changes and alterations, you can apply it to anything. For swing trading, you can apply it for intraday trading of futures, for currency pair trading, and I'm going to show you a lot of examples today. But let me show you, first of all, how I used to trade. If we look at this chart here in SOHU coming into the first week of July, I used to look at charts like this and say, well, there's no way I have an idea what to do here. I mean, we're basically just going sideways. The market is flat. I used to follow, believe it or not, I used to look at a lot of volume some 40 years ago, which I haven't looked at in 40 years. But I would look at those things. I'd look at support and resistance. I would look at what the earnings were, and I'd tell myself, well, none of those things have anything to do with this particular stock. The earnings have come out. They're not very good, and as you can see, the stock's not participating or doing anything. There's no support really here. And there's really nothing to tell me that the stock is going to have any movement one way or another. We're just in a flat range. The volume is very low. But I was lucky enough to have some mentors that were able to turn my way of thinking around. Not trading, but my way of thinking that ultimately changed the way I trade. And they told me basically to let go of all the useless information because there's no consistency in looking at support and resistance, no consistency in volume, no consistency in Fibonacci levels. There were a very small amount of traders who were able to consistently make profits trading those, but the majority of traders, myself included, couldn't do very well. So they taught me a few simple patterns, a few simple rules. Ultimately, I was able to spot signals such as this, which happened just a few weeks ago, that would have had the potential for gaining some nice profits, roughly 13 points in the next three weeks, as you can see here. So this is the strategy we're going to be talking about. This is strategy number 4, and I'm going to show you exactly how to apply it on our new PTS Primo charts. I'm really excited about this because we've put all of my methods, all of my strategies, everything I've accumulated in 4 decades onto this charting platform. It is different from other charting platforms in that it is an educational portal. It's the educational portal you've been searching for. It has all of our strategy, methods, techniques, and it's all right there. All you have to do is click on the certain tab and all the information is provided for you. So I'll go into detail and show you this process of trading with strategy number 4, show you just how simple it is on our new PTS Primo Charting Platform. So welcome once again. This promises to be a great presentation. My name is Stephen Primo. I'm the president and founder of Specialist Trading. And as you can see, we are all about educating you. It's not in our best interest simply just to force feed you signals. I'm going to show you a lot of signals today with strategy number 4 and how to trade it using our platform. But that's just the basic way you'll be learning. Ultimately, you can apply this using any charts you'd like to. You can be looking at monthly charts. You can use it as daily charts. It really doesn't matter because you'll have the information already. You'll know what to look for. You'll know what the keys are. You know what the rules are. And you'll see how consistent this method really is. That's why I've stuck with it for 40 years. Now, if you're new to my presentations, I've been trading for 40 years. I started my career on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange, so my background is in stocks. But I've traded just about everything and anything in my 40 years of trading. I made markets on the floor of this exchange. I traded through the crash of 1987 and the bull market that followed. I've traded just about every system, every method in any type of environment you can think of. So I really know what works in terms of consistency and what doesn't. All right. Sure, there are a lot of methods that will do well 1 week, 1 year, and 1 month. But are they consistent? Will they do well the next year, week, or month? Okay, that's what really success is all about. It's all about making a ton of money because you can just as easily give it back the next month or the next trade, actually. It's more about having a method that's able to move forward regardless of the environment, regardless of the market conditions. I've traded systems before which had fantastic results going back 5, 10 years. They generated phenomenal numbers. And then I trade them for 3 or 6 months and then they would blow up. Why? Because the market conditions changed. So, I don't want to tell you that, systems don't work. It's just that they possess one important component that, takes you out of the game. And that is basically, you just have to follow the rules. You have to follow the rules each and every time, but you're not a part of the process. That's what's different from what we do. We want you to be a part of the process. We want you to learn what you're doing, but have the ability to change, to edit things if you feel more comfortable doing so. Whereas systems do not allow for that. So that's what we do at Specialist Trading. I've teamed up with Pro Trader Strategies, and we simply educate you, all of our members around the world in over 110 countries and in every state in the United States, all the things that I've seen that have a very high level of consistency. Now today I'm going to show you one of the best methods I've ever learned, and so I use it on a daily basis. But please remember that we can in no way guarantee any of the results will be repeated, so we're required to show you our disclaimer first. We're required by law. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results, but as I just stated, we can in no way guarantee that they can be repeated in the future. So as you're taking a brief moment to view our disclaimer, which is required firstly before we present our webinar, I'd also like to invite each and every one of you to follow us on Twitter. I post new information on a daily basis, anywhere from signals that have been generated to little bits of wisdom along the way. So if you haven't done so already, feel free to follow us on Twitter. You may want to copy down our handle there. It's at SPCLSTTRADG. Excuse me. All right. So as I stated, firstly and foremost, we are an educational company. All right. We are not here simply to force feed you signals. We're in no way just going to say, well, here's what you do, just follow it, and good luck. Don't worry. We back-tested this 20 years. It should work. Don't believe in that. In fact, I actually think that's a recipe for disaster. I think that's why most traders fail. In my opinion, and in what I've seen in my experience, the successful traders, the ones that are still around 10, 20, 30 years down the road, are the ones who are a part of the process. The ones that make their own trading decisions. The ones that don't rely on chat rooms or trading rooms or signal services. These are the ones that have studied, that have put in the time, and that know and they have a certain connection with the markets through their education. So this is what we provide. We provide education that has stood the test of time. So as you can see here, my goal is not to force feed you signals, is not to tell you what the perfect time frame is, what the perfect market is. Don't believe in that. That's up to you to decide. My goal is simply to teach you how to trade with the specialist edge. Now, when I first started, roughly about 40 years ago, I struggled tremendously. Okay, so maybe many of you are in that same boat, or perhaps some of you are experiencing that right now or have in the past. So I know what it's like. It's very discouraging and frustrating, and you really start to wonder whether you're going to be around much longer trading. Okay, I was lucky enough to have mentors that saw how much I was struggling and turned everything around for me by teaching me the same things that I teach my students around the world. So that's my goal, to teach you how to trade with a specialist edge. This is the same edge that has sustained me for 40 years, and hopefully it can sustain you. Okay, so since we are an educational company, we're going to conduct this webinar just like a class, meaning I love to take each and every one of your questions, but a little bit different from other webinars. If you have a question, please wait till the end of the presentation. I know a lot of you have gone to webinars before where you get to ask a question whenever you don't understand something, but if we do that, we'll be here for about 5 or 6 hours. I don't want to keep us longer here than an hour. So kindly wait. Maybe you want to write down everything or just hold off and remember every question you have, and I promise I'll answer it at the end of the presentation. The only question I will answer is the most common, and that is this being recorded? Yes, it is. So if you have to leave early, or if you're having technical difficulties, many times if you just log off or log back on, your question, I should say your platform will come back on and you'll see the webinar. But if you still are having difficulty, just email Pro Trader Strategies. They will supply you with a link to this recording. Okay, so kindly wait till the end of class to ask any questions. All right, so We're going to be talking about strategy 4. You've heard me speak about it before, but I'm going to show you exactly the process in which to trade strategy 4 on our new platform. Okay, now remember, strategy number 4 is a great strategy in its ability that it can transfer onto any market, any time frame, and any direction. And in the course, we teach you all the rules. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you just exactly how to apply it with our platform and just show you how simple it is and how you can get back on that road to consistency. All right, here are some of the highlights of this particular strategy. It's for all traders, from beginners to advanced. So it makes no difference if you've been trading for a couple of weeks, a couple of years, or 20 years. It makes no difference. Everyone gets the same basic format, the same shell of the strategy. And then we work out from there. Some traders are more conservative. Others are more aggressive. Still others like to day trade. Still others are investors. That's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong. Strategy number 4 can fit all of those different mediums. We share with you through our mentoring how to apply each and every one of those categories so that you can feel comfortable trading it the way you want to. So even though everyone gets the same shell, starts out with the same shell, you may not be trading it that way once you understand what type of a trader you are. Now, it was originally designed for traders looking to catch quick momentum moves. When I learned this some 40 years ago, we were in and out in a matter of minutes, okay? Because I was day trading on the floor. I was behind the booth, the specialist booth. I couldn't hold on to position for weeks or months. I had to get out, that day. So many times I'd hold on to a trade for, maybe 5 minutes at the most. But ultimately, once I left the floor, we devised ways in which to hold on much longer, days, weeks, even months if you'd like. Now, its intensity level. If 1 were the most just intense strategy you had ever traded where you couldn't even leave your computer, and 3 was the most relaxed where you didn't even have to be in front of your computer, it falls right in the middle. It's a very moderate number 2 type of intensity level. It only uses 1 indicator. We're going to go into detail and show you exactly how to apply it as well. Now remember, the beauty of strategy 4 is that it can be applied to any time frame, any direction, and any market. So if you see me starting out showing some examples with stocks, don't worry. I'm going to show you some examples in the EMINI futures. I'm going to show you some examples with currency pairs. I'm going to show you intraday trades. I'm going to show you weekly bars. It makes no difference, okay? Now, as a learning tool, you're going to receive automatic buy and sell indications. Now, part of what comes with the PTS Primo platform is we supply you with the up and down arrows automatically. It's just as easy as clicking on the tab and you'll see where the buy and sell signals are. It's that simple. But remember, these are for educational purposes only. Ultimately, our goal is to have you be fully aware and know when a signal has been generated just by looking at the chart. And then you'll know exactly where to buy or sell without having to rely on them. So they're there for educational purposes. I'm going to show you in just a few seconds exactly how to apply that. Remember, our edge here is consistency. I don't want you to think that I'm showing you some perfect system where it never loses money. I'll be the first one to say that it will from time to time have some small losses. In fact, I'm going to show you some losses in the coming examples. But the beauty of a consistent method is its ability to make back those losses, sometimes on the next trade. So that's what we promote and teach here at Specialist Trading, consistency. We're not promising you the world by saying this has not lost a trade in 10 years. We don't believe in things like that. What we're trying to say is this method is very consistent. Depending on how you apply it, it'll be a 2-step forward, 1-step back process. And that is the type of process that has sustained me for 4 decades now. So when I get a small loss every once in a while, it's no big deal because I feel so confident in the ability of my method to make it back rather quickly. Okay, so these are the highlights of strategy 4. All right, so let's begin. Let's show you exactly the step-by-step process once you become a member of the Strategy 4 course and you have our new PTS charting platform. I'm going to show you how simple it is to apply both of these different tools here together and how you can get on that road to consistency. All right, there's no news you have to watch. I mean, you can if you'd like to. There's no tons of indicators you have to be looking at. There's not a signal room you have to be going to or a chat room. You don't have to look at earnings. I'm going to show you how simple it is to really get in sync with the market you're trading. All right, step 1. Choose the market you're interested in trading, obviously. I mean, if you're an intraday futures trader, you'll pick up and choose an intraday market for the futures. If you trade currency pairs, you'll upload a currency chart. In this case, let's say we're stock traders. So let's say we logged on with Facebook. Okay. Now here's the way the charts look. This is the standard interface of the PTS Charting Platform. Okay, Primo Charting Platform. And we see the chart. Okay, now how could we have taken advantage of this nice move here starting from January all the way up to this past week in Facebook? Well, the first thing you do is pull up the chart, and then we go to step number 2. We're going to click on strategy number 4 in the green upper strategy tab. All right, so here's the green upper strategy tab right here. It has all of our methods, all of our strategies. You'll simply click on strategy number 4. And then once you do that, a drop-down menu will appear. Now you can click on the indicator that is involved in this strategy. You can click on the indicator settings, which will allow you to change that indicator, to change it to meet your needs. You can click on the scanner at the very bottom to scan for trades. But in this case, we're going to trade. So we want to click on the signal arrows, okay? Once you click that on, you go back to the chart, and then this will appear. All of the signals that were generated starting from January up until this past week in July. Not bad, huh? But there are some trades and some signals that have been generated that are better than others. For example, this one early in February, had you taken this, well, look what happened. It immediately went down the next 2 or 3 days. You may have gotten stopped out depending on what type of trader you are, what type of risk you want to take. Here was another one. Right here in May, you could have gone long, and then look what happened. Fell out of bed a lot. I don't think you would have held down all that time. So where are the most advantageous trades to take? Well, the PTS Primo Charts takes care of that too. Step number 3, we're going to click on the Buy Sell Line tab in the upper green strategy tab. So we come back to the page, we have the arrows plotted, but we're going to click on Buy Sell Line. All right. Once you do that, a drop-down menu appears again. Now, the buy sell line is simply the 50-period simple moving average, and that is the only indicator we use in strategy 4. Okay? You could simply plot the 50-period moving average if you wanted to, or there are different categories for plotting it. The background colors the back of the screen different colors. The color ribbon will color the bottom of the screen different colors, leaving your chart free. But here's what I like. The fluid category. We're excited about this because it gives you the best of both worlds. It not only tells you where you should be buying and where you should be selling, but it also tells you the velocity or the momentum of the trend, of the overall trend. So once we click that on, this is what appears. Okay? We know now as students of specialist trading that we only want to be buying above the 50 and we only want to be selling below the 50. So as you can see, once price is traded above in January, we're only going to be buyers. All right? Now, how can this tool tell us what the best trades were? Well, we go to now step number 4, the last step in trading. Only trade signals that are either near or touching the buy-sell line. It's that simple. These will be the high probability trades, the ones with the least risk and the most bang for your buck on the move. So as we can see here, sure, these signals all worked out great, all right? But there was a couple of them that didn't work out too well. Maybe you would have given everything back. But look here, we have very close signal right here. We have 2 more right here. And then we have 1 right here. And then look what happened. In the weeks that followed, we really took off. So you had buying roughly around the 150 mark, and the stock from June to July went up to 175. Not a bad 25-point gain. Now, obviously, you could have taken any one of these signals. But if we're looking for the high probability, the low risk ones, those are the ones close to the fluid buy-sell line. Okay? It's that simple. 4 simple steps to tell you which ones you should be taking. All right, let's go back now. Let's look at the steps again. Step number 1, choose the market you're interested in trading. All right, let's continue with stocks. This time we choose fossil, F-O-S-L, for solar, okay? Now, this is the standard default chart. Once you click up a chart, a future, currency pair, this is what you'll see, All right, so what strategy are we trading? Well, we're members of the strategy number 4 course, so we'll go to step number 2. Click on strategy number 4 in the green upper strategy tab, okay? Once again, this has all of our methods, all of our techniques. We simply go to 4, click on 4, and the drop-down menu appears. We're going to click on signal arrows again. Once we do that, we get all the sell signals, all right? So which ones were better than others? Well, as you can see here, we got a few cells right here, and each one of these went down maybe a day or so and then went immediately back up. So there was really nothing profitable here. So had we traded these signals, most likely we would have said, boy, this is terrible. Maybe you would have done all right in this one, depending on how well your stop was. But these two, you most likely would have done not very well at all. So let's go to step 3. Click on the buy-sell line in the upper green strategy tab. All right, so we go to the buy-sell line, we click that on, and here's the drop-down menu. Once again, we have our choice of how we want to see the 50-period simple moving average. In this particular scenario, where we want to filter out and choose the best strategy number 4 sell signal, we click on fluid. Once we do that, the screen changes. Which signal was touching or closest to the fluid buy-sell line? Whoops, this one obviously right here. So we only trade the signals that are near or touching the buy-sell line. There it is. So even though it went up a little bit more, this would have been the one to stick with because ultimately it went in your direction. See, the market is telling you, not some convoluted indicators, not some outside source. The market is telling you most likely it's going lower. Now, if you didn't have the buy-sell line, you wouldn't have known that this has very strong momentum to the downside because of the slope of the fluid buy-sell line. So even though we had 1, 2, 3 closes above, what is happening with the slope? The slope is telling you that there's strength to the downside. There's a lot of velocity to the downside. So most likely we're not going to stay above here much longer. That would have given you the confidence to stay in this trade. Now, you could have had options, some puts, whatever, but this is showing you the consistency while using our PTS Primo charts along with strategy number 4. Okay, so that's the standard process. Let's look at some more examples here. All right, let's look at MA. All right, now this was the signal generated way down here on July 5th. How could we have known to take it? Obviously, it looks really good in hindsight, and we would have said, boy, I should have taken that one. But how does the PTS Primo charts help us with the buy-sell line? Well, once again, we simply apply the buy-sell line, and look how close it was to a nice upward sloping buy-sell line. So that's telling you this is a pretty high probability setup. You most likely want to take that. And that's where we had a nice run up from 122 up to 131 in the following weeks. Okay, let's move on to VRSN. All right, as we can see here, we have a number of buy signals going up. They all look profitable, but if we look closely, we see, well, here was one, and then it went straight down, okay? Here was another one, the very next day it went lower. So which are the high probability setups? Well, we go to the buy-sell line, click on the fluid, and as we can see, we had a setup here, and look how high we went after that. And we had another setup here. These are the high probability setups. Let's look at BBBY, all right? A number of setups here. So it's, even though all of these signals have high probability, which ones would have been the best? Well, once we apply the fluid buy-sell line, we see that they all would have been. Even though we went a little bit higher, they all would have been ultimately valid signals because they ultimately all kicked in, especially this one right here. So as you can see, the momentum behind the buy-sell line was kind of not as strong to the downside. So you may have wanted to wait. Remember, we're all about putting the power in your hand. Some of our students say, Steve, I have to see a really strong downward move in order for me to take the trade, or I have to see a really strong upward move. Okay, so you may have passed on these ones and maybe waited for this one. Doesn't matter, they were all ultimately winners. All right, let's look at MNST. All right, obviously, we have a very strong upward sloping fluid buy-sell line. Now we had a number of signals right here, but you most likely wouldn't have done much, and you may have even been stopped out once this drop happened. But the one closest to the sloping, upward sloping line was the one to take. You could have purchased this roughly around 50.5 and 3 or 4 points in the next week or so. Okay, UA. Now here's where I want to show you how some trades don't work out, but the consistency in these methods. Here was a signal to go short UA right here, all right? This is a daily bar. Obviously, it did not work out. This was a loss. But look what happened 3-4 days later. Switch gears and turn to a buy. So you would have taken the loss. But remember, it's all about 2 steps forward, 1 step back. The 1 step back are the small losses that will happen from time to time. So it's up to you. But had you taken the very next trade, you would have made back all of the losses and then made some more. Look at this nice run. Now, once you're out of the trade, you wait for another signal. We have 2 sell signals right here. Even though the slope was kind of flat to sideways to lower, they still generated some nice gains to the downside. Let's look at Costco. Okay, this shows you the beauty of using the fluid buy-sell line, which you can only find on the PTS Primo charts. Okay, we have a total of 3 signals. Each one was profitable. Why? Because they were touching the fluid buy-sell line. You have the very first one here in April, and then the stock just took off from 170 all the way up to 183, 13 points in a couple of weeks. The stock pulls all the way back down, where everyone's thinking that was just a shot in the dark. It was just something that happened out of the blue. Nope, 2 more buy signals are generated, and then look what happens. The stock goes all the way back up. How about Amazon? All right, once again generated a number of signals. Now, some of these were better than others. Obviously, this one right here and this one right here didn't work out too well because the stock went down. And then we have another one here that didn't work out well because it went lower, but that's okay. If we only take the ones closest, it's okay to hold on to them a little bit longer. Maybe you want to have calls, or maybe you want to have some option strategy, or maybe you want to trade the stock and give yourself a little bit more room, give yourself a little bit more aggressive risk parameters. Because those are the ones with the high probability, and look how they ultimately worked out. A very strong upward sloping fluid buy-sell line. Now, a lot of people are always coming up to me and saying, Steve, I know you don't follow the news. This is one of the things your mentors told you there's no need to follow. And to be honest, I haven't looked at the news in 40 years. I never look at the news, and I'm still here. So obviously, there's no need for it. We don't tell anyone to trade a certain way. We just give you information. If you feel you have to trade by looking at the news, that's fine. But don't forget what we're teaching you. We're giving you the information already, so there's really no requirement in any of our strategies to follow the news. But one of the reasons why people feel attached to the news is they think that the news is what governs everything. In fact, you can never be on the right side of the news. Most of the time when the news comes out, you're the victim to it, and you're always on the wrong side. That's not often true. Let me show you the perfect example of what just happened a few weeks ago. All right, this was in Snapchat. Yahoo Finance reported Snapchat parent stock falls below the IPO price. All right, we all know that Snapchat came public this past year, and it was the darling of all the new IPOs. Everyone thought it was going to be a new Facebook. And the stock went up for a little bit, but then quickly reversed direction. And starting just about 3 weeks ago, started to trade below its initial public offering price for the very first time. A lot of people that were holding on to it as an investment were left holding the bag thinking, what's happening here? I thought this stock was supposed to take off. Investor fever for Snapchat has vanished, Yahoo Finance reported. Shares of the parent company Snap closed at $16.99 apiece Monday, falling for the first time below the company's IPO offering of $17. The stock price closed down 1.1% for the day and hovered just above the 17 per share mark in after-hours trading. Now, that was about 3 weeks ago. We all know that it's much lower. It's about 2 or 3 points lower now. So how could strategy 4, along with the fluid buy-sell line, have helped us? How could these 4 steps have helped us if we're long to get out, or even if we're more aggressive? Let's say we wanted to trade it, to go short. All right. Well, let's look at the chart. Once again, once you use our PTS Primo charts, here's the standard default chart that comes up. As you can see, here's Snap starting at the beginning of May, going into this past week, trading down in the $14 and $13 level. how could we have known to get out of this? How could our tools, our educational tools, have helped us in advance of the news, in advance of the stock? Well, we click on strategy number 4 in the green strategy tab. We see that a signal to go short was generated well up here. But while this was happening, well before we took off, how would we have known to go short the stock? And why would we have wanted to? It's the darling of the community. Well, we click on the buy sell line and the fluid buy sell line category, and we see even though the line may be sideways to even up a little, it was touching the line, which is a high probability factor that most likely this is going to go lower. So if you were long the stock, you could have said, you know what? I got it right at 17 when it became public. Right now it's trading around 20 and a half. I think I'll get out, just take a nice 3-point gain and sit and watch and see how it acts. Or you could have said, you know what? I'm going to go short this thing. Maybe I'll get out, or if I'm not in, I'll buy the puts. If there are puts, okay, I don't know. And ultimately, look what happened. So once you have this educational information that's taken me 40 years to accumulate, you can make the decision for yourself well before the news comes out, well before you're sitting there holding, the bag like most investors saying, what happened to this stock? How come I didn't know it was going to act so terribly? With this information, you will know in advance, and you can put the power in your hands with your investments, with your trading decisions. It's all available for you on the PTS Primo Charting Platform. All right, let's look at PGR, pager, all right? Once again, you have a number of strategy number 4 signals. Some are better than others. Which ones would we have taken? Well, we add the fluid buy-sell line, and we would have taken this one right here. Why? Because it's touching the upward sloping buy-sell line here in the fluid buy-sell line. So even though these are high probability setups as well, and they did do well, this was the high probability one more than anything else because it was touching the upward sloping fluid line. Now you can use this as a directional tool for the market. These are the QQQs on a weekly time frame. Okay? Nothing changes just because we're looking at an ETF. And you can use these to determine the market. You don't actually have to trade the QQQs if you don't want to. You can just use this to tell you which direction you think the market is going. And once again, I'm showing you the consistency factor. I'm not trying to, hide away that this will not generate losses from time to time. So the word of the day here is transparent. We're becoming just like everyone else and being very transparent with strategy number 4. As you can see, we had 2 losses right off the bat. All right. Now the line was kind of going sideways, so that kind of didn't help. But still, if you're going to use this method, you should have taken these 2 sell signals, or at least use this to think that we're in a down market, and they didn't really work out. So most likely you would have lost money. But look what happened here in July of last year. 2 buy signals right off the bat, and they're touching the fluid buy-sell line. So you quickly reverse and say, you know what? The market's now going up. The market just was in a kind of a holding pattern. It didn't know which direction it wanted to go in, but now it's changed its mind. So now you reverse your opinion. If you're along the QQQs, okay, this is a good place to be long. As you can see, look what happened. Or if you're using it as a directional tool, well, you could have been long the market when everyone else was saying, no, the market looks terrible. It's doing nothing. It's making a top. No, you would have told them, I hate to disagree with you, but I was given a buy signal. Let's look at a monthly chart. These are the diamonds, the ETF that represents the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Once we apply strategy 4, you see all the buy signals. Some were better than others. Look at the very 2 here that touched the buy-sell line. The one was in October of 2011. This is a monthly chart, remember. October of 2011, the Dow Jones was telling you it's going higher. And then another one in February of 2016. So this is why we always tell our students, you never have to ask anyone, what do you think of the market? What do you think the market's going to do? What about that news that came out? What about what's going on with the economy, or what's going on in fundamental news? Why would you even have to ask those things? It's right here in front of you. So that's why I never look at news. I never ask anyone what they think of the markets. I never look at other educational sites and find out what they're saying in their chat rooms or trade rooms. The market tells you everything you need to know. The only trouble is no one knows how to listen to the market. That's the beauty of the new PTS Primo Charting Platform. We teach you how to listen to the market with all of the different tips and techniques we have. Okay, let's switch markets. Let's switch time frames. The EMINI S&P, all right? Once again, here's a 30-minute chart of the EMINI. This was, I believe, just a couple of weeks ago, July 25th. As we can see here, this is kind of a flat chart, but we have a buy signal generated right when we're touching. So that's telling us to go long. Now, even though nothing much happened, as you can see here, it eventually kicked in, and we had a very nice rally, roughly from 268 all the way up to 278, 10 points or $500 per contract. Now, that was on a 30-minute chart. We can go on to a 5-minute chart. We're going to show you its consistency again. Here's a buy signal generated that touched the fluid line. Did it work okay? Not really. We went up a little bit, but never got going. But that's okay. The strategy bails us out now with a sell signal. So we take the small loss and look at the nice gains. Could have gone short on this 5-minute chart from 277 all the way down to 258. Almost 20 points on a 5-minute chart. Okay? Did we know that the market was going to fall out of bed? Absolutely not. But the strategy told us because it listens to the market. And the market was telling us it wants to go lower. It was also telling us the high probability trade because it's touching the fluid buy-sell line. All right, let's look at some Forex examples here. Here is a 2-hour chart of the euro dollar. This was also this past week, just a few days ago. As we can see, we have 3 signals generated. The first one was terrible. The minute you bought it, went straight down. The third one was okay, but you would have had to wait a few days or maybe 1 day. But look at this one, touching the fluid line. That's the one you took, and that got you in right at the bottom. Let's look at a daily chart of the Canadian dollar. We're going to be transparent once again with our consistency. As you can see, we had a very nice buy signal here, but then this one didn't work out too well, and it's followed by sell signals. Which signal should we take? Click on the buy-sell line, click on the fluid feature, and we would have taken this buy signal, a very nice profit, about 300 or 400 pips. Taken this buy signal, no profit, a loss. So we probably lost about 100 pips. And then we switch over and take this sell signal, which would have gained multiple, hundreds and hundreds of pips, depending on how long we wanted to hold on. Obviously, the Canadian dollar had some economic news, which most people were counting on, saying that's why it was going lower. Do we follow any of that? Absolutely not. So then how did we know in advance? Because the strategy told us, and it was touching the fluid buy-sell line. Okay, let's recap before we go to questions now. Step 1, choose your market. With the new PTS charting platform, you can trade stocks, futures, currency pairs, any time frame you like. So choose whichever market you like to trade. Step 2, click on strategy number 4 in the green top strategy tab. That's all you have to do. Click on and then go to the drop-down window and click on signal arrows. It will automatically generate all the arrows. Now, once again, this is for educational purposes only. Ultimately, through our courses and my teaching, you will know how to properly identify a strategy number 4 setup. But we make it easy in the beginning while you're learning by simply clicking on the green strategy number 4 tab. Once the arrows appear, click on the buy-sell line, step 3. That will give you 4 different options for clicking on the buy-sell line, either the 50-period simple moving average, the background, the color ribbon, or my favorite, the fluid. Okay, that's the fluid category. That's the one we want to trade with to find these high probability setups. Once we click that on, we're only going to take the trades that are closest or nearest to the buy-sell line signals. Those are the fluid signals, okay? And remember, all of this is done so easily and can only be done on the new PTS Primo charts. All right, so here's our special. I'm sure you can guess what it is. We're going to offer you strategy number 4. This includes instant course access, okay? Detailed instructions, upwards of 15 videos in our course lessons. We're going to share with you all the different multitudes of entries, all the different exit points, all the different stop placements. Ultimately, you can decide which ones you want to take. We just showed you a great short trade in the Canadian dollar. It would have been up to you how long you wanted to stay in that trade, okay? It's up to you because our philosophy is you make the decisions. We throw all of the information out for you. We work with you, we mentor you so that you ultimately feel comfortable with whatever we're presenting. We're also supplying you with signal alerts. And we're going to supply you with signal alerts in two different categories. Firstly, we're going to share with you the arrows in the strategy tab. Those are the signal alerts, but the up and down green arrows, those are educational purposes so you can know what to spot for. We're also going to be sending you email alerts, okay? As you can see here, this is what we will be sending you when we have a signal that's generated we'd like you to look at. For example, on the 10th, a signal to go long was generated in SOHU. That's the first chart I showed you at the beginning of this presentation. All right. How could we have traded that with the PTS Primo Charting Platform and what I've taught you today? Well, we look at the chart and we see, okay, there's a buy signal generated. And I'm sure the first thing you'd say is, why would I buy this thing? It's going sideways. Well, remember, that's step one. Step two is we click on the buy sell line and we put on the strategy, or I should say the fluid buy sell line. As you can see, we're very close to the upward ascending fluid buy sell line. So that would have given you the confidence to take this trade, and then it would have generated 13 points in 3 weeks. You could have decided to take all those 13 points, maybe take a couple of points. It's totally up to you. Now remember, this strategy number 4 is special. The strategy 4 works on all markets and all time frames. Even though it says stock strategy, that's the way it was originally designed for stocks, but we've seen over the years, it works on anything, any time frame, any direction. Lastly, included with this is the PTS Primo Charts. You're going to get 6 months of PTS Primo Charting real time for free. This is a $900 value. We're including all of this for $995. Strategy number 4 for life, 40 years of mentorship that comes with that. That's yourself, that's, I should say, that yours truly. You have lifetime correspondence with myself and 6 months of the PTS Primo Charting Platform real time free. Remember, with the full charting platform, that comes with 6 built-in trading strategies, a proprietary trend identifier, 4 trading techniques. It comes with a signal scanner, so you can scan on a nightly basis for signals, okay? It also comes with over 80 technical indicators. Bloomberg TV, so if you're one of those people that has to look and see and watch news, it comes with that also. And then personalized tech support. We have a great tech support department where all you have to do is give a phone call, and they'll usually be right there on the phone walking you through or taking control of your computer and fixing everything for you. So all this is included, 6 months of the PTS Primo Charts plus strategy number 4 for the low price of $995. Now here's how to take advantage of this. Contact my sister site, Pro Trader Strategies. You can email them or call them directly at 310-598-6677. The link below is the link that takes you to the automatic sign up where you can start getting all the information and be a student of mine. Or it would be easier because you'd have to copy and paste that. You can go to the chat box on the far right and click on the link that they've posted up there. That will take you immediately to it. It's a live link. Now remember, this is a great, great deal. If you contact Pro Trader Strategies by calling them, they may even be able to work out some type of a payment plan with you. Okay? So you won't have to come up with the lump sum of $995. You can come up with a small deposit and still be up and running and still have me instructing you on a daily basis with what you have to do to become consistent. So I'm going to leave this information. This is a great, great deal. As I stated, I'm really excited about what I've developed with Pro Trader Strategies, our new platform, and you see how well it works. And it could put you in charge of your trading for the very first time. So I'll leave this information up here. I am going to open up the question and answer box and see if you have any questions. Let's see. Will it work on tick charts for the EMINI NQ futures markets? Yes, it does, but I'm not really sure, Joseph, if there are tick charts available on the PTS platform, but contact Pro Trader Strategies because we've added some new things. I know there's small time frames, minute time frames, but I haven't traded any tick charts there yet. So that would be something you'd have to. But having said that, yes, it does work on tick charts. I know it does, okay, because I've traded that before. All right. Any other questions? Let's see. A lot of you are asking, like, will it work? Yeah, it'll work in any, people are asking different markets in different time frames. Yes, it'll virtually work on any market and any time frame. There's absolutely no market or time frame it won't work on, because the strategy is based on capturing momentum. So the strategy doesn't know if that momentum that you're looking at based on the strategy is stock momentum, currency pair momentum, futures momentum. It makes no difference. Momentum is momentum. So that's what it's looking for, okay? And then with the help of the fluid line, the fluid buy-sell line, it shows you the momentum in that actual background with the buy-sell line displayed there. So now you know what the best and high probability strategies are. So those are the ones, the signals that you want to take, especially in the beginning, okay? So that's what we have to offer. So if I see a number of questions here where they're asking about, well, will it work on this? Yes, it does. It absolutely does, because I've traded it on just about everything. Even some people are asking about commodities. Yes, it works on commodities too. In fact, we had someone who, even though we're not a statistical company, we have a lot of people that like to trade commodities, and they ran some statistics on it, and the numbers were phenomenal. Now remember, everyone trades different, so we can't have statistics on this, because somebody may use one of our many different entry points. Someone may use one of our many different exit points. Someone may use one of our many different stop placements. So having said that, you know, how can we run stats on each and every one of those different scenarios? There's just way too many. So that's why we don't keep stats. We just let you see for yourself how well it works, okay? So as I stated, this is a great, great offer. I use strategy number 4 in some capacity. In fact, I have, like I said, for the last 40 years. If there's one thing that has sustained me, I think it's been this strategy. Now, I trade our other strategies as well, but strategy 4 is my go-to strategy. I intraday day trade it. I use it with stocks and currency pairs, and it works well and can transfer over onto anything. If you're really serious about turning your trading around, if you've been struggling for the first part of the year, we're already in the summer. In just a couple of months, we're going to be into the last part of the year. Now's the time to get on board, okay? Now's the time to get with someone who's been trading for 40 years, who can instruct you along the way. If you're still skeptical, go to Pro Trader Strategies on my website, and you can look at the testimonials from people who have taken our courses. But you must take advantage of this soon before the price changes and we really don't have this really nice offer anymore, okay? Okay, as we close, I just want to say thank you. I hope you got something out of this. I hope you can see how excited I am about our new platform, and I really look forward to you becoming students of mine, and especially of the Strategy Number 4 course, along with the new PTS Charting Platform. Thank you so much for attending. I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.